Hello and welcome to Super Rugby Round 16 review, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby opinion and predictions. And I'm excited tonight because there's somebody I have been trying to get on this show for a few months now, and he keeps ducking and diving. But I called him out in public, and he had to come on. So, welcome, Henry. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I don't think I've been ducking and diving, but I am here now, so I'm looking forward to discussing some Super Rugby with you.
Yes, and diving straight into... Actually, well, first off, you've obviously can see Henry's Twitter name on the... if you watch on YouTube. If you're not, it's HYPR Sport, Hypersport. So for those of you on the podcast, so do look him up. So we kick things off on Friday night, Highlanders versus the Hurricanes. And there's been a lot of people sort of moaning about how the poor performance of the Hurricanes, but to me, I mean, they were in this one for the first hour or so. Really, it wasn't the bad performance. I don't think most people are making it out to be.
Yeah, I think the Hurricanes have to be careful, though. I think they are kind of snowballing in their performances, and they're kind of staying consistently average. And I was at the Crusaders game last week when we played them, and Bodie, big players like that, they didn't have the best games. I think he put one off the side of his boot straight into touch. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible. They're still scoring tries. They're still doing their strike plays quite well. But yeah, I'd rate it probably about a 6 or 7 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting, I thought, from the evening that the Highlanders kicked the ball a lot less in this game. Kept it in hand and basically tried to starve the Hurricanes' backs off ball. And it worked for them on the night. Normally you see the Highlanders try to put up a lot of contestable kicks, but a relatively low, only 17 kicks from hand by them. So yeah this was much a different game plan was pulled out the locker room.
Yeah, I think that's a very smart strategy against the Hurricanes too. You've got to just be smart with your time. You can't let those big players, Savia and Beauden Barrett, Geordie Barrett, you can't let them just constantly get their hand on the ball. So I think it was smart from the Highlanders.
And they did manage to dominate territory and possession. I thought it was interesting that early on they decided they would kick the 3 points, but as soon as the Hurricanes didn't take the same approach and were taking tries, we saw the Highlanders start to turn down kicks at posts and go, okay, this is a 5 and 7 point game, not a 3 game.
Yep. And I think that just comes down to leadership on the field, and that it's good that they can make those decisions and just have the guts to just make those decisions. Sometimes coaches get too involved and they say, this is our strategy for the game, we cannot deviate from that. So, I think it's good for the Highlanders going forward that they can make those on-field decisions, like we need to attack this game more than we thought.
No, absolutely. And the referee had, though, let's be honest, a little bit of an interesting game, I think, with this one. Geordie Barrett got one try and then had one disallowed after an intercept. Sure, there was definitely some foul play leading up to it, but if you're going to disallow a try, surely the penalty has to go to the defending team, not to the attacking team. So I was a bit confused by all that.
Honestly, I was a bit confused as well. You think, I'm not sure exactly what to the letter advantage laws are in that situation. But yeah, you think if you were going to bring it back for a penalty for the team that scored it, that seems a bit strange. So I'm definitely with you on that. Yeah,
and I've not heard if Julian Surveyor has been called up for his thrown punch or not.
I did not see the thrown punch. I saw the second half of this game, so I didn't see that punch, but I did see the swinging arm. Was the punch bad?
Oh, he dives over ruck and throws a punch, and just as we're about to see where the punch lands, all the cameras pan away to follow the ball. So we don't actually know what he hit, but he definitely had a big old swing. So, and this was an interesting one that I saw someone say on Twitter that the laws are is if you do physical or verbal abuse of somebody is punishable. Attempted physical abuse isn't, because you haven't actually delivered any physical abuse.
So he could swing right up to his face and stop there. and that would be.
And as long as he doesn't actually contact.
Yeah.
So if you're bad at punching.
Yeah, if you got a weak punch, yeah. Maybe if it seems strange because it's hard to quantify verbal abuse as well. Like, where's the line between banter and really truly, offending someone? That seems kind of hard to justify as well.
It does, and they generally keep it down to anything that's sort of that's basically racist or along that sort of thing. So that's fine. I've never actually had someone go, well, he attempted verbal abuse.
Verbal abuse, yeah.
But we have people who have attempted physical abuse and failed.
Yeah, but he just got terrible chat, so.
Yeah, we'll let you off. So they got that one disallowed. It was very important, I thought, just before half time, on half time, that the Highlanders got their try, tap and go with a lovely inside ball, and Lee in for the try. Scoring just before half time is always important, and getting that 1 point lead.
Yep. Yeah, and just looking back at that try, one of the Hurricanes' locks, I think, just comes out of the line when you shouldn't have. If you just held that line, they would have been fine, I think. But it was a brilliant backhanded offload there as well. So, good try.
Into the second half, and again, some interesting refereeing. Ricciatelli, deliberate knock-on, but no yellow card because there was apparently no overlap. And that's the first time I've heard a referee refer to that as well.
I might leave that one up to someone in the chat. They may know more than me on those sorts of things.
So I was a bit confused by that one. Normally I don't like to go at the ref. There were a couple of those two particular calls seemed a bit strange. It seemed like the referee was making his own laws on the pitch. And I suppose at the end of the day, he is the law on the pitch, so I guess he can do to a certain degree. Ben Smith back to his best a bit in this game, creating the next try.
Yeah, that try was interesting as well. And another weird refereeing miss was where who was it? Sopawanga came back through the line and kind of dived back through and just nicked the defender's feet. I'm not sure if that caused the try, like Ben Smith may have got through anyway. But that's just something I picked up as well. But yeah, it was a great run from Ben Smith. And if you see an opportunity like that, you've got to take it regardless of what the referee's doing and what your own players are doing. So I hope he continues.
Absolutely. And then the Highlanders got caught napping when there was a quick line out, and DrivingMaul Newsletter took out 3 players. You don't really associate him with sort of power play and taking out players, but hey, did that, released a player, and put the Canes back in the lead.
Yeah, it was a good offload off the ground. It was funny. Tumunga Allen scored the try, but he kind of looks inside him, sees there's another prop, and he's like, well, there's no point passing because we're both props. So he just goes for the try. But yeah, it was good from Milner Scudder, and he, I think it's getting so hard now for defenders to shut down offloads, and even when players are on the ground now, they have to quickly get over and just stop that offload. So yeah, good from Milner Scudder. Yeah,
and it's going to get even harder with the new nipple rules that that have been brought in for the under-20s. I've not seen any of those games yet. But, yes, that's going to be fun. And then basically the Highlanders ran away from it from there. I thought Franklin had a very big night with the lineouts. The Hurricanes only were successful with 7 out of 12 of their lineouts, which is criminal at this level, and a big factor in them not being able to basically exit their end of the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. What was the position and territory in that game at the end of the day?
So at the end of the day, Highlanders 65% possession and 68% territory.
Yep, and I think that's how you have to beat the Hurricanes, is you have to pin them back and starve them of ball. In fact, any dangerous team like that is the best strategy to use. A lot of people were asking why Geordie kicked it out at the end after a few phases. It was just because basically there was nothing to be gained. There was no bonus points to be gained and, only injuries. So that's why he kicked it out. And then, of course, he went for his McDonald's in the wrong room after that.
Oh, Jeremy. And just talking about that, what's he doing out at 5:20 in the morning? There's a whole bunch of studies out of the States that show that getting 8 hours sleep a night improves high-performance athletes' performance.
Yeah.
These guys need to be getting sleep and rest. Recuperation is supposed to be what it's all about.
They do, yeah.
And I feel sorry. The people I feel really sorry for are KFC. they sponsor all
Macca's.
Well, KFC do all the sponsorship.
And
then as soon as
then
he goes and gets Macca's and puts Macca's all over the papers. And it's just
they should get subsidised KFC really. But yeah, it's funny. I think people will look back on it and just laugh at it eventually. Like there's a lot of outrage here in New Zealand at the moment about that for some reason. But yeah, I just find it hilarious. And yeah, he should be getting 8 hours sleep. You're absolutely right. But I think it's a fine line between you have to let them have a little bit of freedom sometimes, professional players. Otherwise, you just end up like John Mitchell and you're a dictator. So,
this one, yes, they went in the wrong room. They're in a.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not their town. If you're two females in a flat, are you going to come?
Out. Yeah,
you're not going to come out and go, guys, get out of my house. You're going to be phoning the police straight away. Everyone's like,
absolutely.
Oh, they must have phoned the police because they stayed. No. If there's a stranger in my house, I'm calling the police straight away. I'm blocking my bedroom door. I think hopefully it is all as they said, and it's just a mistaken identity. They got the mistaken identity of the house. No big deal. And perhaps send the girls a couple of signed shirts.
The least they could do.
Yeah, to say sorry.
And they got free accommodation, really, for a while.
Exactly, yeah. It's cold down there as well. I mean, hey, they could have got pneumonia. Fantastic result for the Highlanders to wrap up that 30 points to 14. I must admit, I thought that during that second half, when they had Sopoanga's kicking was a bit off, his radar was off. I thought that might come back to hurt them, but they ended up scoring plenty of points, and so it wasn't a problem for them in the end.
Yeah, I think where are they sitting now? 4th and 5th, these two teams. So it's kind of looking like those two teams and the Chiefs are now just kind of sitting in those wildcard positions. And yeah, we'll see who ends up on top out of those three. It's going to be interesting, these last 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's really difficult for them to catch the Crusaders now. With after this has happened. I guess the other point about this is the reason for Geordie kicking it out is that the Highlanders were on 4 tries, the Hurricanes on 2. If the Highlanders had scored another try, they would have got the bonus point. So it's also stopping the opposition from getting a bonus point as well. So it was definitely the right thing.
Yeah.
So after that, we moved up north to the train wreck that is the Blues. The Blues still haven't won at home all season. It's my team. I just really don't understand what's... Anyway, they lost to the Rebels 10-20. And another situation where the Rebels just dominated possession and territory. The Blues just couldn't get out of their half and just got dealt with.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw the territory and possession stats for this game. I think that there's just kind of a lack of trust within the team at the moment. Like they're all... they're not trusting each other with defenders. 2 defenders are trying to go in on one man, and it's just a little bit of a shambles all round. And I think some players are still trying. Other players are kind of half giving up at this point. Obviously, the playoffs are a distant dream, and who knows what's happening in the sheds? I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in there, and I can hear the pain in your voice as you try to talk about it. So I'm actually interested to see what they do with the rest of the season psychologically, and see if they can actually pull off a few wins in these last few games.
Well, Kone in the live chat's going, Canes and Crusaders need to donate some players to the Blues.
Maybe, I don't know about that.
The Blues have got decent players. They've got a decent coach. They've just got they've got an awful board, and there needs to be clear out from the top bottom. Some of the stats in this game, the Blues made 12 clean breaks to the Rebels 11. That is not. So they had some opportunities. They just didn't finish them off. But this is just a crazy. They had to make 179 tackles. That is a mammoth amount of tackling.
Yeah, it is.
Twice what the Rebels did. The Rebels only had to make 83. Having a 90 from 19 of their lineouts for the Rebels shows that whenever they try to exit through kicks, the Rebels were secure on their own ball. They're not going to. They just come back again.
Yeah, just doing the small things right. That's all they needed to do.
Exactly. I'm going to have to call out a couple of players though, because a couple of guys put in some big shifts. Kano, 19 tackles, only missed 1.
Wow.
Tali Tui, who came on as a replacement for Papali, who went off injured, So we've got a replacement here coming on in the first half. 23 tackles, only missed 1. That's those guys. So there was definitely some big shifts put in there by the forwards. The tackling on the whole was good, with the exception of Cowley Tuioti, who missed 6 tackles. Don't know how you do that, but there you go.
Yeah, it just goes back to there's some guys that are still really trying and they really want to turn this around, and then there's other guys who are just kind of off the ball a little bit, and it's a shame. Like the forwards putting in such a big effort and the ball goes wide and people are slipping off tackles or not marking properly. So it's a shame to see, because some of those players deserve better than what they're getting at the moment.
Yeah, they do. I just read this one. I can't believe Ruru, and that's the Rebels Ruru, not the Blues one. Got through 100 passes in this game. The Rebels, in all honesty, with all that ball, with all that attacking, should have put the Blues away by a lot more than just 20 points. So actually, the defensive effort by the Blues was good. They just couldn't get out of their half. Their attacking play there's too many 50-50 offloads. And
it's a funny kind of game, because the Rebels might have been just happy to keep them pinned back in their own half and kind of subdued. Like maybe they weren't going for too many risky kicks, risky chips, or risky passes, and they were just happy to keep them pinned back there. It's strange that they didn't score more with all of that ball and territory.
Jack, I've got to disagree with you. Sorry, Rico Iwani should leave the Blues and go to a better team. No, he shouldn't.
That's the one hope you've got left.
The one hope we have. We're not getting rid of him. So moving on, Chiefs versus the Crusaders up in Hamilton. Another one that I did a post match for, and the Crusaders came out strong. Good attack, good tackle off. Good tackle, good try off the back of the scrum.
Yep.
And no, it wasn't. It was tap and go. Sorry, the quick tap when everyone was asleep, thinking that they were going to kick to the corner. But they had some good back moves off an attacking scrum earlier to go 7-0 up. Interesting to see that the Chiefs tried to come back with penalties though.
Yeah, that first try, just going back to that, the Cody Taylor quick tap, it looked like at that point we were going to dominate the game. Like we were just so switched on and looking fantastic. Obviously that didn't end up happening. We kind of fell asleep for the next 20 minutes or so. But yeah, the Chiefs made some strange decisions in the long run. They probably could have scored more tries. They weren't looking too bad once they got down into our red zone. And then they ended up scoring those two, their first and second try. The first one was the one with the ball being kicked through at the ruck, and Scott Robertson was complaining about it when he got interviewed. He used that opportunity to complain about it. But regardless of that, it was a good try. I think they managed to build up pretty well, and I think Justin Marshall was bitter about the forward pass at the end. I don't even think it was a forward pass. He seems very bitter lately. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe some personal issues or something. But I don't think it was forward. I think it was a good try.
Another interesting one again. The Crusaders, I think, have learnt from their game with the against the Waratahs, and also knowing how the Chiefs play. Again, they weren't putting boot to ball. Richard Moanga was running it out quite often from the back. Only 18 kicks to the Chiefs 24, but from hand. Again, starving the Chiefs of ball again.
Yeah, this round seemed to be a lot of teams just dominating the other team, like position and territory wise. But I think the Crusaders overall, there's like a mentality now that we have where you'd have to go back to the Robbie Dean's era to find this, where you just trust them to come back. And I think that's just the positivity that Scott Robertson brings to the team. They're always just, no matter how far they go behind, they will come back, and you just have that faith that they will come back. There was some fantastic tries we scored late in the game as well.
Yeah, and to go in the half, line out Maul tried to take the lead back again, and then obviously kicking the easy three when you ran out of time at half time is the right option to do, just to go in 7 up. Interesting to see Retallick pulled off at half time. Yeah,
I'm not sure how serious that was. I see there's been cover brought in to the All Blacks. I see Matt Todd's in, which I'm obviously very happy about. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I missed that news. And it was Matt Todd had been brought in. Yeah, it seems strange to be pulling him off for what is a crucial game for the Chiefs, but clearly
was he not even injured at the time?
Well, apparently he was partially injured, but not severely. And so it's one of those ones where a lot of people are like, well, actually, this game's more important than actually the French tests because we're going to beat France anyway. So a bit strange, but so I thought. So it says Retallick is injured, unfortunately. So perhaps he is more injured than they let on during the game.
Try telling the All Blacks coaches and selectors that we're going to win easily and see what they say.
Well, maybe. Okay, so Jack says, Romano, Franklin, and Todd called into the All Blacks. So it shows they were light in the locking department already.
Luke Romano scored that good try actually. Our last try where he just kind of like reached through the ruck, plants it down. I guess it's the perks of being 6'8" or whatever he is. So I'm glad he's in there too.
Yeah, and as I say, scoring either side of half time is what's important, and that's what pulled the Crusaders away. You got that 34 minutes, 40 minutes, and then on 44 minutes. So yeah, a cluster of scores around half time. Again, perfect kicking from Mo'unga. Has he pulled himself ahead of Damien McKenzie in the kind of All Black stakes now, with Damien McKenzie's kicking radar being so far off?
Damien McKenzie has more utility value than Mo'unga does, unfortunately. If like Beauden Barrett was injured, yeah, I'd be using Mo'unga's boot, obviously. But yeah, it's an interesting one, just because if McKenzie might end up kicking if he's on the field, if he plays fullback, depending on what they're trying to do. So yeah, if McKenzie was only a first five and Mo'unga was only a first five, then I would, depending on the opposition, I'd probably choose Mo'unga just for that kicking ability.
To start it off. So then we had what turned out to be a bit of a crazy game over in Australia. The Queensland Reds against New South Wales, 41-52. This kind of, this one went absolutely crazy. I think this is the first time that the Reds have lost 5 on the trot at home to the Tars. So this was history making as well, and put Tars top of the Australian table and in command, really. Yeah,
and I don't know what it is about Suncorp, but these sorts of games always happen there. Maybe it's just the good weather or something like that. The first try was funny, that intercept. Higginbotham just kind of pans it off to Parisi to run the last 80 metres. He's like, I'm not fast enough for this. You can have it. It was like 50 seconds in too, and you're like, wow, this is going to be one of those games. I was trying to analyse it before, and it just kept going. Like, was it 15 tries in total?
Something crazy like that.
I think it was, yeah. That's mad.
More than points a minute, which tells you something. That's
yeah.
And they kept it close. I mean, it was only at half time. It was 19-28. So the Tars did pull out, and the Reds sort of managed to sort of come back a bit towards at the beginning. But then at the beginning of the second half, the Tars just pulled away, and once they were a couple of tries ahead, the Reds were never really going to get back into this one.
And there was a few tries towards the end where it looks like the Reds just kind of gave up. The Waratahs 7th and 8th try I've got here, the one where Jack Gordon scored got the inside ball, and then Clark scoring in the corner as well. And they're just kind of lazily running across. They've kind of given up on the game at that point. But then the Reds did manage to score 2 tries at the end of the game. So yeah, it's just one of those mental, crazy games.
All the games we've talked about so far have had tackling in the 80%. This is the first time we dropped below that. Reds 63% tackling.
That makes sense.
The Tars 69% tackling. Really, tackling was optional in this game. The turnovers were also pretty low, so teams could get their phases together and get over that game line. 16 clean breaks for Queensland and 13 for New South Wales. And question Nutty Coetzee says, thoughts on Jake Gordon not making the Wallabies squad?
I don't know enough about him to really comment on that. But he scored a try here, so yeah, put him in the Wallabies.
I'm just trying to quickly check out his stats on this game. Absolutely, he's coming off the bench for the Tars anyway. So yeah, if you're coming off the bench,
you're not
going to be making it. Now, admittedly, they are scrum half isn't an area of strength for the Wallabies, but if at club level Phipps is supposed to be the better player, then I think you're not going to get in the squad that way.
Yep. The other interesting thing about this game was Folau's performance, because I thought he was fantastic. And it's kind of, I think it's difficult for some people to rationalise in their head, like, do I like this guy, do I not like this guy? But that, where he just ran onto that chip, is almost like it's just bounced up perfectly for him, and he just took it and ran straight to the corner. And then, of course, the big, giant league kind of jump that he did, that massive vertical jump to grab that ball. So I think he had a really good game as well, kind of regardless of what everyone thinks of him off the field at the moment.
I don't like him as a person.
I don't think many people do.
Not that I actually met and talked to him, but I don't like his opinions. But as a player, he's a fantastic player, and second to none in the air. If you've got that kind of attacking ability, you've got to use it. And when he was playing on the right wing for a few games, I thought that was perfect, because you just had, every time they would attack down the left, ball comes back out, Foley does a crossfield kick, and that's pretty much was the entire Tars tactics. We've got a big guy on the left who can get down, who can break the gain line, get the ball back to us, and then just kick and and that's you don't need much else if it's working that well. Great, wonderful player, questionable person. Beale has a good game when he obviously steps into that first receiver a lot on the attack and runs things for them. It's going to be interesting to see how that all kind of works out and how they do it at the Wallabies level. Yeah,
for sure. The other person that had a good game as well was Nai Ravoro. There was one try where he just beat 3 defenders all in succession, and the defensive system can't do anything about that when you've got him just charging at you. There's not much you can do. So I think he had a really good game as well. And also Rona for the Reds. He did one ridiculous pass, I think it was him, where he just kind of, you couldn't even see it. He was like going to ground, and he somehow just did a perfect pass out the back. So he had a good game as well.
Yeah, Naravoro was having a great game on the wing for a few games. They then were listening to the commentators too much and said, we should be bringing him inside. And they brought him inside for a couple of games, and when he's up against other big guys, he wasn't making the meters. Yeah. And it looks like they've told him just to stay back on the wing again. Don't ask him to come and find work. He doesn't need to. Just get him. Just leave him out there and let him do what he does best. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I've got a problem with Gibson as a coach. Is I don't think he knows his own mind enough and listened to too many people.
Yeah, although the interesting thing was they were like forced to fire their, I think, defence coach because they ran out of money. So the Waratahs, I think that it's just him basically at the moment. So maybe there is no one for him to listen to anymore. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on at the Waratahs.
Oh, dearie me. Australia does have problems with money all the time. Finally, the last game on Sunday, the Brumbies versus the Sunwolves reserves. The interesting sort of pre-match run-up to this of Checker asking the Brumbies to rest 3 of their players and they turning around and saying no, which was...
Love it.
Which, and everyone's like, well, they didn't ask the other clubs to rest their players. The other clubs were playing the day before. The problem that he's got now is that those players have to rest on Monday, and they can only have one physical training session between now and the Irish Test. If they played a day 24 hours earlier, there wouldn't be a problem because then they'd be able to have that 2 sessions. So I get why he did it, and people have sort of missing that fact that it didn't. The other teams didn't.
He's not just picking on the Brumbies.
No, he's not just picking on the Brumbies. I watched the first half and just gave up because I'll be honest, I didn't bother with the second half because this was just so much of a one-sided affair. The Sunwolves, when they've got all their best players, can put up a fight in these games when they've lost all their brave blossoms to international camp training in Singapore, and they've just got their foreign players and their second or third string local players. They're just not up to it, really. They just don't have the depth to cope with that.
Yep, definitely agree. And again, this is another game where the Brumbies just dominated territory and position, like 62 and 63. They ran 468 metres to the Sunwolves 330. Not much kicking in this game, but the Brumbies were able to just basically control the game, I think.
And whilst the Sunwolves were respectable, tackling at 80%, the Brumbies still managed to get 22 clean line breaks, which is just crazy. It just shows you that whilst the one-up tackling and all the endeavour was there, but the structure's not there because it's just not their first team who are used to playing with each other. And that's what's going to happen to you.
And I see there's only 6 offloads here as well to the Brumbies 14. Maybe that little bit of trust was just lacking with like you say, all the fresh faces there.
Yeah, just the combinations aren't there. The Brumbies tackling of 77% on another day is not going to win them games. Yes, take the win, be happy.
Where are they? They're 11th at the moment. That's not as bad as I thought. It's like the bottom is the Sunwolves. And then the Blues, Reds, Bulls, Brumbies, Stormers, Sharks. And then the Rebels are 8th at the moment. I hope they kind of stay there. It'd be good to see them in the finals. Obviously, they'd have to come and play us. Is that how it works?
They would have
this new format.
So I think 8th would play first. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yes, they'd have to come play us, which would kind of be a losing battle, but it'd be good to see them down here.
Oh no, the Rebels have won in Christchurch before.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that one.
It is a few years ago, admittedly, and under a different coach. So it's a shortened round, and that's and I think we've kind of seen there that, as you say, the Crusaders, I think, have probably booked themselves that top slot now.
Hopefully.
With the Waratahs still being chased by the Rebels, but getting that, they got an important win over the Reds to keep themselves top of the table. I've actually not got the table in front of me at the moment, but
it's all good. I've got it. The Waratahs are third with that top spot of the conference. Then Hurricanes, Highlanders, Chiefs all battling it out. And then the Hawaris, which I've now learned how to say it properly, and the Rebels. So that's the top 8 as it stands at the moment. I kind of hope it stays like that. It'd be interesting to see an Argentinian side in the playoffs. Again, if what you're saying is correct about the format, they'd have to travel to play the Lions, which would be interesting. So, I hope they continue.
Well, I was hoping they were going to try and catch the Lions, but the Lions win in that last weekend has probably gives them that 6-point lead. Sure, the Jaguars have got a game in hand, so if they get a try bonus point, that would put them 1 point behind them. So there is an outside chance that the Jaguars could top the Africa Conference.
Imagine that. That'd be great. Put some money on that. What are your thoughts on the international coaches kind of coming in and saying you have to rest these players have to stay off, because the games in the conferences are now more important than ever, because finishing top of your conference is a massive, massive advantage. I don't know if anyone's ever won from outside the top of the conference in Super Rugby in this new system. Someone will probably call me out on that in the chat. But I think international teams getting involved and saying, you can't play these players, or you have to take this player off at a certain time and they're only allowed to play this long. It's just kind of taking value away from Super Rugby. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are on that as well.
Well, on that first piece about winning overseas, so I think the Crusaders are the only team to have won a Super Rugby final overseas. I think is how it goes. But did we top our conference in that? We did. Possibly you did, but I want to say, Super Rugby's been going for 20 odd years now, and only twice has an overseas team won a final. So the Highlanders have won an away final, but that was in New Zealand. So getting that home ground advantage against foreign opposition for that final is important. So again, that number 1 seed or number 2 seeding is vital. As you say, getting top of your conference is important. Now, the Australian teams apparently said they didn't want to start a week early in the way that the South African teams did. And so if you're going to turn around and say, no, we don't want to start a week early to give Checker his extra time, then yes, he should be able to pull players. If you're not going to play ball and help him out that way, then you should. Then tough.
It sounds very political. If I was a weaker Australian team with not as many Wallabies, I'd say, yeah, we don't want to start a week early. We want you to have to rest your players that round and give us more of a chance. So maybe they should just make it mandatory that this is when we start, this is when we finish, and this is where the international windows fit. But maybe someone else can figure that one out. Obviously, they're trying to do their best at the moment, but it just seems strange that we have all this cotton wool around players at this crucial stage of the season.
To me, the one that I disagree with is the Chiefs losing their players to an All Blacks camp when they're on tour. Every other team, the camps were arranged so that they could have they would lose their players for training, fine, but they were back again for the weekend's games.
Yeah.
The camp for the Chiefs should have been arranged so that the Chiefs players were called in when they weren't overseas. That's that one I disagree with.
Yeah. Although we can't give the Chiefs too many excuses.
Yeah. And again, if you know you've got to rest your players for 2 weeks, which is like they have to do in New Zealand, that you plan ahead of it. You plan it ahead of time. And if you get lucky that someone gets injured for 2 weeks, then hey, you use that instead, don't you?
Yeah. Just looking at this table as well, I just want to say all the pundits, the professional pundits in the newspapers here, they were predicting the Hurricanes to sweep Super Rugby this season, the Crusaders to come either second or third, and then the Blues to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs to finish rock bottom. So I think we can see how dead wrong that is, and I think everyone should stick with independent rugby commentators because obviously the professional pundits don't know what they're talking about.
No, and quite a lot of the time they're doing it deliberately just to get clicks.
Yeah, just to get clickbait. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And even though we've said actually the Crusaders are clear, what I've forgotten is that the Hurricanes do have a game in hand, so they can get within 4 points. But it would really require the Crusaders to lose,
to slip up,
to not come top.
So it could happen.
It could happen. As you say, then it gets tight between. So the Hurricanes on 45 points, the Highlanders on 40, and the Chiefs on 37 points. So that's all. So those three teams now. With the Jaguars on 34 points and the Melbourne Rebels on 34 points, they're not that far behind the Chiefs. And I'm not sure what the final Chiefs games are, but if they've got some interconference games, then
let's figure it out.
Then they could actually miss out. They could be sort of giving up points there if they've got tougher games. So there is a small chance that they would slip out.
The Chiefs have the Highlanders away, and the Brumbies at home, and the Hurricanes at home. So I'd say 2 out of 3 of those are not guaranteed wins in the slightest. Even the Brumbies one, you never know what's going to happen in these last few rounds. But they could be very close come the last round. So
they've got they should be the Brumbies. Whereas I remember the Jaguars, all their games are now interconference games against Sharks, Stormers, and Bulls. I think of the 3 games they've got left. So the Jaguars are in with a shout of finishing this game, with 3 more wins, which would definitely put pressure on the Chiefs and also the Lions, actually, for that matter. So it's not guaranteed that New Zealand will get 4 teams in yet, but they probably will.
Yeah, I think they will. Like they will beat the Brumbies at home. They're looking at least 3. Depending on the bonus point situation, I think they should be fine.
But I think it's Rebels personally that the ones I think are probably going to miss out from this. You hope not. Have a quick.
I'd like to see some of these teams that have never made a playoff to get into the playoffs. So I hope not.
Yeah, I'd say I think the Jaguars will get in ahead of the Rebels. That's my expectation. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully now you've enjoyed it, and we'll be having you back on. Let everyone know where they can find your great content and what you get up to.
Right, so my channel's called Hypersport. It's spelt a bit strangely. It's HYPR and then hyphen sport. Basically, all I'm doing at the moment is live streams. I'm trying to get as good as Paul here at live streaming. So I'm practicing a lot. I'm trying to watch as many full games of rugby as I can. Obviously, some of you may tell that I've gone off the highlights for this video. So yeah, I'm trying to watch rugby again. I've been taking some time off, but I'm glad to be back and on the DrivingMaul show. Definitely something, if you're a rugby YouTuber, it's something you definitely have to do. Kind of like a rite of passage is going on Paul's show. So cheers, Paul. Appreciate it. Thank
you very much. Oh dear, the flattery will get you everywhere, sir. Of course, I'm Paul, go behind DrivingMaul. Always up for good rugby chats, comments down below. Hit that like button. Whoops, don't hit it twice, obviously that'll unlike it. So like it and also subscribe. And I will catch you all tomorrow night with the Hash Rugby Chats, where we'll be going over all the hot topics in rugby. Back on Wednesday night with the All Blacks edition, and then we'll be previewing the international games on Thursday night. So a full week of shows for you. Don't forget to dial in.